Welcome to This Explainer. I'm so glad you're here because today we are driving headfirst into one of the most fascinating economic microclimates out there right now. We're taking an investigative look into the 2026 Brampton real estate market. On the surface, the numbers might tell you one story, but as we're going to see, there's this whole other hidden narrative unfolding just out of sight. If you follow housing trends, you already know things have been shifting fast. And Brampton, it's literally the perfect case study for understanding exactly what's happening under the hood of today's economy. So let's just get right into it. The big question, the central mystery we are unpacking today is this. Is Brampton's housing market stronger than it looks, or is it secretly struggling under the surface? It's a fantastic question, right? Because depending on who you ask, you get totally different answers. Look at the macro data, and you see homes moving, neighborhoods filling up. But then, talk to the folks actually signing the papers, and you sense this deep, undeniable anxiety. So today, we're letting the data answer that exact question for us, separating the glossy optics from the actual reality on the ground. Section 1. The illusion of stability.
Okay, let's dive into this. Brampton absolutely still has massive fundamental appeal. We're talking highly sought-after family-friendly neighborhoods, fantastic transit access, great schools, and honestly, when you stack it up against Toronto, the perceived value is undeniably strong. Families are still moving in, and demand seems completely steady. But beneath that calm, stable surface, there's a hidden layer of stress that's slowing everything down. Homes are sitting on the market much longer now. Buyers are incredibly cautious, double and triple checking their math kind of cautious, and intense drawn-out negotiations, that's the absolute norm now. The days of wild, blind bidding wars are pretty much gone, replaced by a much more hesitant, calculating market.
Section 2. Hidden mortgage and affordability stress. Think back to those low interest rate years. You remember them. People were locking in mortgages at rates that honestly look like typos today. Well, the clock has run out on those terms. This impending mortgage renewal wave is heavily impacting household budgets. Let's be clear, homeowners aren't just dealing with a tiny little bump in their bills. They're facing massive, life-altering increases in their required monthly payments. And this singular pressure, it's forcing major, really tough real estate decisions all across Brampton. People are literally having to sit down and decide, do we cut our lifestyle right down to the bone just to keep the house, or do we sell? Which brings us right to our next point, the updated 2026 definition of affordability. A few years ago, affordability was mostly just a fancy word for, hey, can I scrape together the down payment? Yeah, not anymore. Today, affordability actually means maintaining a comfortable lifestyle after the purchase. It's the home price, sure, but it's also those spiked mortgage costs, the property taxes, climbing insurance premiums, routine maintenance, and the skyrocketing cost of everyday expenses. Because unfortunately, you still have to buy groceries after you buy a house, right? Affordability is now all about surviving the reality of everyday living post-purchase. It is a completely holistic financial picture. And let me tell you, it's a heavy burden for a lot of folks to carry right now. Section 3. The buyer and seller reality. There's a real tactical tug-of-war playing out there right now. For sellers, the current reality is a bit of a wake-up call. You can't just stick a sign in the lawn on a Friday and expect a bidding war by Sunday anymore. Sellers absolutely must focus on strategic pricing, impeccable professional presentation, and above all, deeply realistic expectations. On the flip side, buyers, well, they actually have more choices right now than they've had in years. They're highly informed, they are incredibly selective. But, and this is a massive but, they are severely restricted by those high borrowing costs we just talked about. So buyers have the power of choice, but they lack the freedom of capital. It creates this fascinating standoff where both sides hold some leverage, but neither side feels totally comfortable making a move. Section 4. Property types and warning signs. Because of all this pressure, the market is completely fracturing based on property type. Detached homes remain the ultimate dream for so many. They're highly desirable but intensely expensive, which puts them pretty much out of reach for the average new buyer right now. Meanwhile, condos are facing their own unique headwinds. They are becoming incredibly sensitive to rising maintenance fees and overall carrying costs, which makes them a much tougher sell. So, what is the undisputed sweet spot in 2026? Townhouses. For sure. They offer that crucial balance between affordability and space. They give families the room they actually need without the crushing financial weight of a massive detached home. If you really want to know where the active momentum is today, it is firmly with townhouses. Now, if you are actively watching this market, there are 5 warning signs you absolutely must monitor. First, average days on market. If this starts climbing, you know the friction is getting worse. Second, inventory levels. Are homes just piling up?
Third, keep a very close eye on price reductions. They tell you exactly when sellers are finally throwing in the towel on their initial expectations. Fourth, track mortgage renewal costs, because as we know, that dictates all that hidden stress. And finally, local buyer demand trends. Taking note of these specific indicators is what's going to allow you to gauge exactly where this stressed market is heading next, long before it ever hits the mainstream news.
Section 5. The 2026 Market Outlook.
Despite everything we've just discussed, the mortgage stress, the standoff between buyers and sellers, the stretched affordability, Brampton remains an incredibly viable market. Why? Because you simply cannot argue with demography. Strong population growth and an unwavering underlying demand continue to support Brampton as a highly solid long-term investment. Yes, the immediate stress is very real, and yes, consumer behavior is absolutely more cautious. But the long-term fundamentals, the sheer staggering number of people needing a place to live, that bedrock is as solid as it has ever been.
Which brings us to the ultimate question. Is now a good time to buy in Brampton? Well, as the data shows us, the market isn't just one monolithic thing. It strictly depends on your own personal financial readiness. If you're sitting around waiting for a massive market crash, you might be waiting forever, simply because of that relentless population demand. But if you jump in without stress testing your budget against those high carrying costs, you might find yourself trapped under the waterline. So I'll leave you with this thought to reflect on. In a market defined by hidden stress, are you just buying a property, or are you truly calculating if you can afford the lifestyle that comes with it? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.